But let's jump into our last topic. We're talking about the 2019 NBA draft. It's never too early to do a too early mock draft. We're going to go through the top 10. We're taking these top 10 teams from tankathon.com. So if you're mad that your team's in the top 10, I don't care.
It's never
blame
too
Tankathon.
It's never too early, but it's called a way too early.
Because it's too early, because people shouldn't be talking about it.
But it's never too early.
But we're crazy. So if you're upset that the Knicks are here, then take it up at tankathon.com. But the order that we are using, number 1, the Hawks. Number 2, the Nets. Number 3, the Celtics via the Kings. 4, the Knicks. 5, the Magic. 6, the Suns. 7, the Bulls. 8, the Hawks via the Mavericks. That was in the Luka trade. 8, 9, we have the Cavs, and then at 10, we have the Celtics via the Grizzlies. So we will do a classic mock draft. We're going to go to Ricky first. Ricky, give us your top 10.
Well, we'll start off the Hawks going with R.J. Barrett, forward out of Duke. And then right after them, the Nets, they also dip into the Duke pool, and they're going to take a forward in Cam Reddish. Then the Celtics, they're going to go with Bol Bol center out of Oregon. Then the Knicks going Romeo Langford, the guard from Indiana, a Hoosier boy. Then number 5, the Magic, they're going to go Zion Williamson, the third Dookie that I have going off the board. Then the Suns going Nasir Little, forward from UNC. Then my Bulls going with Quentin Grimes, the guard out of Kansas. Hawks going with Sekou Demboya, the forward from overseas. Cavaliers going a little bit of defense with DeAndre Hunter, forward from the Virginia Cavaliers, going from a Cavalier to a Cavalier. And then the Celtics going to round everything up with Trey Jones, the fourth Dookie, going off the board for me in the first 10 picks.
I don't know the last time 4 players from the same school went in the top 10. I do know the last time that 2 players went in the top 3, though, as you have R.J. Barrett and Cam Reddish, was Joel Embiid and Andrew Wiggins back in that draft. They went 1 and 3. So I think it might be the first time 2 players going back-to-back and 1, 2 in a draft. Let us know, obviously, if we're wrong in the comments below. But Dave, take us through your 1 through 10.
Wings for days, baby. That's all this draft is. I got the Hawks going with R.J. Barrett. I have the Nets at 2 going with Nasir Little. The Celtics at 3, which I swear to God, if the Celtics keep this pick, I hope the Kings are the number 1.
Jake is sitting there going, doesn't matter. The 76ers will get it.
There's an even lottery chance 1 through 3, baby. That's this year, starting this year. So there's a 33.3% chance saying Cam Reddish for the Celtics for now, though.
And real quick, I just found it. Kentucky, 2012. Anthony Davis, my kid Gilchrist 1-2.
Yikes. With the number 4 pick, on a higher note, I got the Knicks taking Romeo Langford. With the Magic going to go Ja Morant. The Suns taking Zion Williamson. The Bulls taking Trey Jones. The Hawks taking Sekou Demboya. The Cavs taking Semi Shatu. And the Celtics taking Bol Bol.
Yeah, that's a tough name right there with Semi. You know, it's a rough name to have. Shatu.
Growing up, yeah, probably.
The fact, though, that he's 6'10", probably could whip people's ass, probably makes up for it. Yep. But I know if I had that name,
Depends on when he hit that growth spurt, too.
Yeah, but let's talk about, if I had that name, I would be still getting teased because I'm a 5'8", balding 20-year-old. Anyways, let's jump into my top 10. The Hawks taking Romeo Langford, guard out of Indiana, was really unsure of where he was going to go. It took him pretty much to the last day to decide on his college. And then at 2, the Nets taking R.J. Barrett out of Duke. Then the Celtics via the Kings taking Cam Reddish out of Duke. Then at 4, the Knicks taking Nasir Little from North Carolina. Then at 5, the Magic going with Darius Garland out of Vandy. Then the Suns going with Darius Baisley. He is in the G League, decided to go away from college, and he's going to enter the G League draft in October. So we'll see what ends up where he's getting picked up. But again, wherever he is picked up, teams do not have his long-term rights, and then he's able to go into the 2019 draft.
Didn't we have wasn't it like Glenn Robinson or something? Did the same thing where it was G League and then went into the actual draft?
Couldn't tell you if you Google it. Then at the 7th pick, Bulls going with Zion Williamson from Duke. Then at 8, the Hawks going with E.J. Montgomery from Kentucky. Then at 9, the Cavs going with Quentin Grimes from Kansas. And then rounding out the top 10, Celtics going with Sekou Demboya from overseas. So let's jump into the Duke kids because we got R.J. Barrett, we got Cam Reddish, we got Zion Williamson. 3 Dukies in the top 7 for me, then top 6 for Dave, and then top 5 for Ricky. Why is R.J. Barrett, in your guys' mind, going to pull ahead of Cam Reddish and Zion Williamson? Because we all have him at the top of this Duke class.
He's had the best performance so far. I think that's really all we can judge it off of. Is right now his body is great, his shot is good. He looks like he can be a primary ball handler at times. he looks like he has a full kit, and his international play for Canada, like he's actually performing really well at the under 18 stuff. He did before, like everything looks good. The McDonald's game was like 2 months ago at this point. Like everything he's done has been impressive. He just looks like he's the finished product coming into the NCAA. He's one of those guys who, if there was no one and done rule, he would be going he would have been drafted already. Let's just put it that way.
And one thing too, I found the last time 3 players were picked from the same college in the top 3. Al Horford from Florida, Corey Brewer at 7, and then Joakim Noah at 9 were the last 3. And all of those guys were juniors. This was the first time I think all 3 freshmen from the same team were picked.
To me, I kind of wanted to put Cam Reddish at number 1 right now, but I couldn't, only because of, like Dave said, the RJ Barrett has looked the best right now. However, if the Hawks, because that's who the order that we're going with, if the Hawks are number 1, the thing that to me would be the deciding factor is which one out of these guys has the better jump shot. Because we know both of them can get to the 10. We both know both of them can finish at the 10. Whichever one has the better jump shot, has the better shot from range, is who the Hawks would take at number 1.
That's the thing, is I'm just not sure on which guy is completely better. Obviously, RJ Barrett dropped 38 points.
And obviously, we're going to have a season to decide that.
Yeah, and of course. And I mean, looking at the builds, they're not crazily different. I mean, both around 6'8", 6'7". Cam, I think, is bigger, at least filled out more. I think he's a little heavier at 203 compared to 200 pounds, according to ESPN. So, I mean, they're pretty much the same build. Both can be wing players. How do you think they're going to at least separate themselves from one another? And you even throw Zion into that. How will Zion separate himself from this team? How will Trey Jones separate him from this team? How will RJ pull away from Cam? How will Cam pull away from RJ?
I wonder if it'll kind of be like what we saw with Bagley and Wendell Carter, where it's like, you know what, if we're going to see, like, let's say I'll put Barrett is more of the Bagley, Reddish is more of the Carter, where it's like most of the attention is on an RJ Barrett, but then throughout the season you look later in the year when we start to put them under the microscope in tournament games and conference tournament and the national tournament games, I wonder if teams will go, yeah, RJ Barrett's he's going to be the top, but there are some good things with Cam Reddish that we can kind of get out, kind of like what we're seeing with Wendell Carter, who went after Marvin Bagley.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing, and Bagley, again, he was a guy that was the number 1 prospect in that draft class once he reclassified. And he was a guy that came in with that name power, and obviously, Wendell Carter fit into a role, and that's why he went to the top 10, because he was able to show that versatility, and Bagley was dominant. I mean, we really don't see guys come into the ACC and put up, 20-11 or 19-11. I mean, he had a fantastic season. Both guys had their upsides. I think the biggest thing will just be, again, how will they do with their shot? Because, again, we saw even with some of these players, I mean, Jason Tatum was a guy that, again, there was a lot of talent on that team. He was able to pull himself away from his team because he had that smooth shot. He was able to be efficient from the floor and even then adjusted a shot even more because, again, he was shooting with his elbow out, moved in front of his face, and he would hit 43% from college. I mean, He was able to show his scoring ability and his smoothness to his game. I think that's another thing, too, is how smooth will these players be at Duke and how will they shine in that rotation?
The real question for me for Duke is not Barrett or Reddish, though. It is Zion Williamson, because this is a guy who early on it was like, ooh, he could be the best player for this team. And now as we're getting closer to the season, closer to actually looking at these guys, it's like, oh, he's 5th, or like you have him lower at 7. He's the one for me where it's like, I think Barrett and Reddish will be up here. It's how close to them will Zion Williamson be?
Yeah. I don't know what to expect from Zion.
That's the greatest thing about Zion is he is a 6'6" guy who is 270, 280. Like,
he's a linebacker. He's not even a linebacker.
No,
he's like
a
tight end.
Defensive end.
He's a tight end.
He's a defensive end.
He's too quick
the boy
to be
should
a
be coming
defensive
up.
end.
That's what I'm saying. He should be coming off the end of that line. Like, could you imagine him going after
Miles
Greg?
He's a football
style.
player, basically.
He's disgusting. He's got what, the highest vert ever recorded at Duke?
46, I think it was.
Like, outrageously athletic, but he's just huge. And
he's thunderous when he hits a rim, too.
it is. Like, I've seen, basically, if you look up Zion Williamson, it's him dunking over everyone. That's just all his mixtapes are. That's all he has proven he does have more to his game. He's incredible on the fast break, though.
Yeah,
he's just a freaking force of nature.
He's a one-man fast break, too.
Yeah.
Grab a rebound, take it up, weave through, and then throw it on a dunk.
Yeah,
It's
he can
insane.
handle, which is nice. But you don't know what he can translate to at the NBA. Like, how does he fit into any given team? How does he fit into a system? So I think Duke, what we're going to see is they're going to be challenged with, you have 4 top tier athletes. And I don't want to discredit anybody else on this team because I know they recruit the best people in the nation. It's what they do. But like, how do you make these pieces work together? Because RJ Barrett plus Cam plus Zion all have their own games, and they all want to be top draft picks. So how do you do the everybody eats method with that?
And I think the easiest player that could separate himself would be Zion, because again, if he shows that he can fit into a team, he can show that he does a lot of things for a team.
Yeah.
That's going to be the biggest thing for him, because we don't know what he is going to do on a floor. People are talking about a shot. People are talking about where he's going to play defensively. If he's just able to defend multiple positions, he shows the ability that he can switch and then stick with players, either with size, like a 6'10" player, and is able to stick with them on the low post, and he's able to switch out onto guards, and then he's also able to show that he's not lost in an offense. He can be relied on and not be like, who was the guy from Duke that came out of the draft? I think it was Gary Trent. Gary Trent came out and shot like 27% from 3. If he's able to at least stand on the outside and have a decent shot, if he's able to not get lost in this offense, and he's able to put up 10 points a game, 8 boards, throw in a couple blocks, if he's able to do that, I think he might be a guy that comes into the top 3 and might even be able to jump over a Reddish or an RJ Barrett because of his athleticism.
Such a unique body, and that's the thing that's intriguing, because it's if you added like 20 pounds to LeBron James. Like, it's disgusting to think about, and I don't know if he's going to keep the weight. That's the other thing is he going to slim down throughout the season, or is he going to maintain that weight to play low and body people up? I've got so many questions about this Duke team.
And then even then, is he naturally dispositioned to just be that big? Like, is that just his body type?
Is he big boned?
Is he a guy that he's not fat in any way. Like,
No,
he's just a
huge.
big guy.
He's
like,
fucking huge.
The last thing
Big
that I would
bone.
want to say is that he's in shape. Obviously everyone can get better cardio. He can get more in shape.
Yeah.
We'll see how his cardio
Dude,
is.
that reach
if
back
he go-
dunk though was sick.
I mean, he's disgusting. As the dime drop,
It
guy.
was, way back.
I'll be
Real quick, one of my favorite guys on YouTube now, growing the dime drop. Check him out if you haven't. He described Zion as the mixture of Charles Barkley and Vince Carter, and it's perfect. I mean, the guy, the way he attacks the rim is disgusting. It's insane. He's probably going to win a couple dunk contests throughout his career.
I'll be completely honest. Hearing Dave talked about, you're hyping me up about Zion so much to where I'm like, the State Farm Champion Classic at the Baker's Fieldhouse, are those tickets on sale yet? 'Cause I'd really love to see these 3 play.
But if this team is that good, though, they might not be at the dunk contest. They might be in the Final Four.
No.
Or
No,
go-
I'm saying the State Farm's Champion
Yeah, doesn't
thing.
it happen during the Final Four?
No, that's the Kentucky, Duke, Kansas, Michigan
the
State
matchup.
games.
I
Yeah.
think it's about the dunk
No,
contest.
the game's in November to start
Yeah,
the
which
season.
we might have to go to just
We got-
to honor.
It's in
you know.
Indianapolis. That's not that far of a drive.
We'll see. I've made
Can't
that
let
drive
Sean.
before.
Can't let Sean drive. He'll get a ticket. From that Millennium
He doesn't have a
Falcon.
car anymore.
No,
he
I
lost
didn't
in the
get-
bet.
I didn't get a ticket from it. I got a
Well,
warning.
you almost did.
I got a warning.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. He lost the car in the bet.
Yeah, that's right.
Anyways,
Buses don't travel that
It's
far.
going to be interesting to see what happens with Duke, especially. We'll throw in Trey Jones there.
I would
because
say
Ricky
Trey
does have
Jones,
him
the
in there.
lost man. I've got him in my top 10 as well.
But yeah, the one player that I do want to bring up is Romeo Langford, because I have him number 1. I have him over RJ Barrett. I have him over Cam Reddish. RJ Barrett, long, lanky. He's a guy that can score. I don't know what his main go-to move is. He's got a fine shot. I don't think he's going to be a guy that's going to be disgusting from 3 to come in right away. Cam
Probably
Reddish,
not.
he isn't really exactly smooth with his shooting motion as well. Very similar to RJ Barrett. I think he's a little better of an athlete. I think RJ Barrett's more smooth. The thing with Romeo Langford, though, is that I love the fact that he has a thing. He has his ability to score. He has one skill, and it's absolutely dominant. He's got a body that can play in the NBA, 6'6", incredibly smooth. He reminds me a little bit of J-Tay. I think he can absolutely ball. I absolutely love the kid. I think he can be a dominant scorer in this league. I think that he can possibly develop his facilitating ability as well. If he's able to do that, he can be a guy that can put up possibly 23 a night, 24 a night, and then also drop like 7 assists. He can be a guy that can be absolutely dominant in this league. I love that he has a skill. I love his ability to attack the rim. I think he's got a really sick shot as of right now. And what I really want to see him in that Archie Miller offense in Indiana. Just making sure he's the coach in Indiana is how will he do with the ball in his hand? How will he create for himself, and how will he create for others? Is this going to be the showing that I want to see where he's able to get 6 assists per night? Because I would absolutely love to see that and at least solidify him as my number 1 player.
For me, the biggest question I had with this top 10 was the point guard position, because it's like the last 2 years, I want to say we've almost been spoiled point guard wise. Where 2 years ago, it was coming in, we knew Markelle Fultz, Lonzo Ball were the two that we were going to look at. You look at last year, it was, we had the 3, like Shea kind of came in a little bit
off
later.
most people's radars too.
Like
Trey was like the 23rd prospect last year.
Beginning of the season, though, we like after non-conference, like, all right, we've got 3 point guards here. Right at this point, who are going to be those point guards? Because right now you look at most of like the big boards, and it's Trey Jones, who Dave and I have in our top 10.
Basically, you're playing
Garland,
with so much talent that we're going to get to see you do a good job, hopefully distributing.
Garland, who you have in your top 10 from Vanderbilt, and then there's a guy that patron Matt's going to like I'm throwing out there, came back to Purdue, Carson Edwards. Those are kind of like the 3 top point guards we're looking at. Who's like, my question is not necessarily having an answer right now, but just in general, like, are these guys going to rise and be the cream of the crop point guard? Or will there be somewhere the cream always rises to the top? Or will we get somebody who just kind of comes out of nowhere and it's like, holy crap, we didn't look at that?
Well, also mention Quinn Grimes as well. Yeah, I don't think you throw him
He's
out
a
there.
shooting guard, but yeah.
Well, I mean, Romeo can also be a
shooting
guard as well. We don't know if these guys are going to be exactly.
I mean, if you want a guy out of nowhere, that's me. I'm drinking the Stevie and Kool-Aid. I'm drinking the
John Morant Kool-Aid.
Yeah, John Morant is just. I'm kind of surprised that he's gone.
You know
so
who else went to
underlooked.
Murray State? Campaign.
Yeah. Well, Campaign gonna be a backup for the Bulls and gonna get serious minutes this year. So
Went
be afraid.
13th in the NBA draft.
He actually wasn't bad at the end of last year. I don't want to admit that out loud, but I just said it. But no, John Morant. This is a kid who probably is gonna come close to a triple double this year in just college. Just last year he did like 13, 6.5, 6.5. Over 80% from the line. Good shooter. Super athletic, can get to the rim, can rebound for you. Like, he has a little bit of everything that looks good, and if his role increases like I expect it to, like, he's a guy who's going to come out from nowhere to top of the draft boards. I don't know if he's going to go top 10, but I've been reading a lot of the Kool-Aid. Stephen did a nice article on him, and then one of the talent scouts I follow did a write-up on him as well, and yeah, just... There's so much to like about having a long guard, and especially after seeing the success of Shea in Summer League and Shea at the end of last year, leads me to believe that like this is the kind of mold that they're going to look for going forward. Guys who can
going
give
up against that tough
everything.
Ohio Valley Conference.
But I don't think the conference matters. Let's not be. I mean, let's be honest here. I mean, let's look at.
I mean, the basketball team that you put your application in for is in that conference.
Morehead State.
Morehead State.
Yeah, but I mean, it doesn't really matter about the conference. I mean, it doesn't matter where you play. It's what you do. So if Ja's going to go out there and he's going to drop a triple double and he's going to be efficient from the line, he's going to be looking like a dominant player on the court. A dominant player on the court is a dominant player on the court no matter what. I mean, obviously there are some question marks to be brought up. I mean, how
when you
good
play
is the
against
competition?
high level competition, we'll see.
Exactly. But if you're dominant, it can translate. I mean, let's look at Steph Curry. Davidson was not a massive powerhouse. They're consistently good, but they're never going as far. I mean, Steph Curry took them the farthest they ever gone in the NCAA tournament. That's because he's a what's it called?
Transcendent shooter?
A transcendent, talent. If Ja Morant is able to be a transcendent talent, that will show no matter what.
Chandler, and this is me just going off of last year, or this past year.
Sure.
Chandler Hutchinson was the first non-Power 5 guy taken.
He was also like a
22.
junior or senior, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, he was a junior.
Like the only other ones that weren't on like
sophomore.
This will be a sophomore year.
The only other ones that weren't on like big top Power 5 teams, but they played against Power 5 teams were ACC teams: Josh Okogie, Georgia Tech, and Jerome Robinson, who went to BC.
If CJ can come out of Lehigh, like anybody can come out anywhere.
Exactly. And even Dame. Dame came out of Weber State. Not even a
powerhouse.
I mean, like they're even lower than Murray State. Talent will shine. So it'll be interesting to see what.
Got to keep your eye on. He may do nothing, but he may turn up.
And you brought up the fact that again, long guards are the new mold. So that's why I think so highly of Romeo Langford. We see these transcendent wings. We see J-Tay. We see Jaylen Brown. We see just throw out more wings. I mean, there's so many wings now. in this day of the age.
And yet it's still the high, like, that's what teams need
Josh
right
Jackson.
now. Yeah.
Well, that's why I think if you have a guy that can float like Romeo Langford could possibly do, to either being a guard or being a forward, if you have a forward or even a two that can handle the ball, you have a guy that can just play anywhere. And again, it's positionless basketball, and that's why I'm high on Romeo Langford, because he has that ability to shoot. He has the size. He has that scoring ability that's going to translate to the NBA no matter what. It's just how much else can he do in the league, and that's what I love about the kid, and that's why I'm so high on him.
It's a shame you yell positionless basketball, yet he's not going to the Celtics.
No,
because he's the best player. He's the best damn player.
And I like how both me and you could have had him go to the Celtics, and we didn't.
But even then, with the Hawks, I mean, the Hawks are looking towards positionless basketball. I mean, they're a team that was built in or at least their GM, the people in the head of their GM. The people in the front office are from the Warriors.
Yes, they're trying to mimic the Warriors.
Yes, so that's what I was trying to get to. Let's talk about other players that are in our mock draft.
You're talking about Bol Bol
8
being
minutes.
at the top of Ricky's rankings, basically, number 3.
This is more of a pick to me where I am kind of looking into my crystal ball, where I see Bol Bol being the Mo Bamba-like player of this draft, where it's like we're going to get to draft time the week before the draft, and we are going to be hyping up Bol Bol, just like we were hyping up, and I know I was one of the biggest hype kings for Mo Bamba. That is what is going to happen with Bol Bol this year. People are going to fall in love with him.
What is it about him?
To me, I feel like he's going. It's exactly it. He's going to be a dominant force.
No, he's
a dominant force.
He is going to be putting up highlights this year for Oregon and be one of the only things that people tune into Oregon for. And because we are looking at him so much, he will do. I will say he will do things this year that make us kind of turn our head. It could be just a really good game here or there.
He might dunk sometimes. I mean, if you're 7'3", you should have games where you dominate.
I'm not going to say I'm exact. Like, I can't pinpoint exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be almost like the Mo Bamba thing, where it's like, holy shit, he blocked a shot at the top of the square on the backboard.
But the reason why Bol Bol should be doing that no matter what. He's got a 7'8" wingspan. He's 7'3". He should be able to replicate what Mo Bamba did. The reason why I love that for Mo Bamba is because he consistently did it. And Mo Bamba had a great motor. He was a guy that consistently dominated defensively. He was a guy that was able to go up against Kansas and be the guy that was the shining light against Kansas, one of the best programs in college basketball. With Bol Bol, he doesn't have that motor to me. He doesn't have that next level edge. I don't see that in him like Mo Bamba. The best thing that I loved about Mo Bamba, the best thing that I loved about Marvin Bagley were their motors. I don't see that in Bol Bol at all.
This is one where, like I said, I'm looking at the crystal ball. I'm looking at the season, because it's either like you look at the centers this year, it's Bol Bol, and then it's a guy who was coming back in Daniel Gafford right now.
Or
the second best
Jonte.
center.
Jonte, I had Jonte to start.
Are we putting Jonte Porter as a center? No, I'm putting him as a power forward.
He's a little bit of both right now.
But
I'm putting him as more so in the power
small
forward.
ball.
He's the same as Mo Wagner. He's a 4-5.
Yeah, but again, I'm very, because with Bol Bol, I don't think he's ever going to get big. I think he's always going to be a stick.
What
I don't
if
think
he
has
could
a motor.
get like Rock levels of like roided out? Like,
if he can get to Joel and
Dwayne the Rock Johnson levels, I don't think he's going to get to that level. Dave.
If he gets to Joe size, then maybe.
You've seen his dad. Like, he never put on any muscle.
No,
there was no muscle there. That's got to be a concern for you, like going forward. That someone with that size body and the thin frame that he has is a constant injury concern, and there's a constant concern that he'll just get bullied out of the paint.
With something like that, it's more that is something of let's see how the season plays out.
And maybe, but I just think if he does not get bigger at all, and whether this is this season at Oregon or the 5 years in the NBA, the first 5 years in the NBA, if he's drafted by the Celtics and he has to go up against Joe, he's going to get bullied. If he goes up against Karl-Anthony Towns, he's going to get bullied on the low block. Yes, he has long arms, but that doesn't mean anything. Let's look at Hasheem Thabeet. Hasheem Thabeet didn't have that muscle. Hasheem Thabeet was bigger. Hasheem Thabeet had that muscle. He didn't have that motor. I mean, you can have all the gifts from God in the world, but it doesn't mean anything if you don't put anything towards it. I'm concerned about Bol Bol's motor. The best thing about Joe is his motor. He always is competing, even if it's just one-on-one against Jason Tatum.
The thing about Joe too is when he was at Kansas, he wasn't really the most strongest, biggest guy at Kansas.
He built up. Again,
in the NBA after he was with the Sixers.
He was a guy with injury concerns. Like there was concerns about Embiid, but there wasn't concerns about his talent. I don't know. Bol Bol is not the player that Joel Embiid was. Joel Embiid was talented in Kansas. He just wasn't healthy, and he was small. And a thing with Bol Bol is we at least have that mold of his father.
That's
the
it.
Thing
Almost
is,
holds something against him, even though like he shoots like a goddamn trebuchet out there at times. Like it does give you an idea of like this is sort of where we can expect him to come in at.
I think one thing comparing him against his father, and it might be unfair to compare him to his father, but again, it's just something that is out there. Different times completely. Yeah. I mean, that was 90s, 80s basketball. They did not have the same regimen. They did not have the same weight training knowledge as we do now. And
he was also potentially like 40-something at the time. There were rumors of like his age being widely.
I don't want to get into that stuff, but at least, I mean, even when he was early into his career, I don't think he was a 50-year-old playing in 1991. I don't know. I don't care, to be honest with you. But again, he's a guy that he wasn't in the NBA that we are now. We were considering big men down at that size, especially, to just stick down in the low paint and
put your hand up
and just dunk it in. Now, Bol Bol, if he does have that ability to have a consistent shot, then maybe he will be something. But I think having him at 3, especially over my guy, Romeo Langford, and Zion, even then, Zion has something that is tangible in his athleticism and in his motor. That thing is not going to go away. And yes, he might be 280 pounds and 6'6", but I'd like to see someone try to stand in front of him and take a charge from Zion, because Zion's going to bring the thunder, and you're also probably going to get his thighs right in your face. And those things probably hit like a frozen steak. I mean, those things are going to be absolutely powerful. Or Bol Bol might hit you with like a skeleton bone. I mean, I am concerned about his build. I'm concerned about how he will be as an NBA player. I don't have him in my top 10 for a reason. Guys like E.J. Montgomery are more built out. Zion is clearly more built out. I think the biggest question for me would probably be Darius Garland. I have him going 5th.
You got 2 Vandy boys.
Yeah, I do. Do I?
You got a Vandy boy. I got a Vandy boy.
Mm-hmm. Oh, you have Semi.
Yep.
But yeah, I have Darius Garland in there. 6'2". I understand that he's small. But he is a guy that can light up a scoreboard. We saw Trae Young rise for the way he did, the way he can score. I don't think Darius Garland has that same ability, but also this is a thinner draft class.
Well, and you wanted Trae Young to go to the Magic, so you're like, why not have Garland go to the Magic? Because Trae Young didn't go to Orlando.
But also Trae and Darius, I think Darius has the ability to.
It's like, how many times did we mock Trae to the Magic?
Yeah, every chance I got.
But with Darius, I think he's going to be stronger attacking the rim. He might be a little bit more brutal attacking the rim rather than just Trae throwing up floaters. But a big negative to Darius is that he does not have the passing vision of Trae Young. He doesn't have that passing ability, that court vision that Trae Young does, because Trae Young has a next level of court vision. And Darius Garland doesn't have that, or at least hasn't had the ability to show that yet at Vandy.
And that's the other thing to kind of look into this with each of us, where the thing that I don't think we've kind of harped on a little bit enough is like the actual teams. Like the last thing I'll say with the Bol Bol thing of why I have him at 3 is look at the team I have him going to. It's a Celtics team where it's like, hey, we got Al Horford down there. We got guys. We can just draft him and just let him kind of Joel Embiid it, where it's like, you know what? We're going to let you get in shape. We don't need you to be the BMOC on campus.
And I get that, but I also just want to throw out there, I mean, let's look at our 1.0.
Also, they might need a point guard, and I don't know if I would take a point guard at 3 right now.
Yeah, but also we don't know exactly how these. Let's take a look at our 1.0 from this year. The Celtics were 2. We look at the Magic, they were 3. We look at the Suns, they were 8. We look at the Hornets, they were 9. Jazz were 11. I mean, there's a lot of fluctuation that can happen throughout an NBA season, so we don't know where these teams are. So I'm not putting too much stock into the teams right now, just because again, this is way too early.
I don't want to toot my own horn, but I will toot if you go off of the first 3 picks, I called it. I called the order from my 1.0.
You did?
Congratulations.
Bagley, Doncic.
Congratulations.
Wrong teams, but that was at the time.
Congrats.
Different order.
We're really proud of you. We're extremely proud of you. You also had Bruce Brown going 10, so congrats on that one. I had actually the most players in the top 10. I had Michael Porter Jr. fell out. And also
you also
Miles
had
Bridges
Hamadou the highest out of all of us.
You 12. Had him one position below me, so shut up.
Still the highest.
Anyways, let's wrap this up because the camera has died out. I'm really bad with the time today. But that was fun. Let us know the players that you like in the way too early mock draft. Are you high on RJ Barrett? You high on Cam Reddish? You high on Bol Bol? You high on Romeo Langford? Let us know down in the comments below. We still didn't even talk about Sekou, a guy that can rise up and maybe he'll get more respect. Internationally, we'll see. Maybe Luka can change people's minds. We didn't get the chance to talk about my boy E.J. Montgomery from Kentucky and even Basley, the guy from the G League. It's going to be interesting to see how much he can make his stock rise in the G League. Going to be interesting to see.
And I just want to throw out DeAndre Hunter. He's going to be the leader of that Virginia team. and teams will
He's
look at him.
coming back from an injury, right?
He is. Okay. He was the main injury why many people, me included, changed my championship pick from Virginia, and rightfully so, because they lost to the Retrievers from UMBC. He's going to be a guy, really good defensive pickup.
Where's your boy Laos from UMBC?
I have no idea. He was a wet boy 1 week, and he was a 1 week wonder.
But I also thought you were going to put him in your mock draft. Anyways.
I did, didn't I?
I don't remember.
I put him in one of them.
Let us know what you think about our 2019 way too early mock draft, but that's going to wrap it up for the fast break. Again, don't forget to rate us 5 stars on iTunes if you feel so kindly to do so. Check out patreon.com/mostofitpodcast. Our boy Ziani is going to be on next week to possibly talk Suns or whatever he wants to talk about. You could pick out whatever you want to talk about on patreon.com at the $10 tier. Also, check out mostofitpodcast.com. You can't see it, but Dave was rocking one of our t-shirts. You get that on our shop at mostofitpodcast.com. But for Ricky Widmer, Dave Oster, I'm Sean Anderson. We'll see you next time.